They called my name, Angeline Summer, Master of Business Administration, and I felt the weight of years collapse into that moment. I had balanced late-night studying with early mornings making Lily's breakfast, had poured every ounce of myself into getting this degree. Walking across that stage was supposed to feel like triumph. But as I glanced toward the crowd, my victory curdled into humiliation. There he was, Ryan, my husband of 4 years. He should have been standing with my parents, waving proudly, holding our daughter. Instead, his arm was draped around Sabrina's waist. Sabrina, my best friend since the 7th grade, the one who held my hand through heartbreaks, the one who swore she'd always protect me. They stood pressed together, like a couple, her manicured nails resting on his chest. And my parents? They were on the far side, their faces stiff with shock. I froze mid-step, the tassel swaying against my cheek as if mocking me. Around me, applause dulled into confused murmurs. Someone near the front gasped loud enough to ripple through the quiet. The principal extended my diploma with a congratulatory smile, unaware of the knife twisting in my chest. I reached for it with trembling fingers, but instead of moving on, I tightened my grip on the microphone at the podium. "I have something to say," I heard myself declare, voice sharper than I intended. The room stilled. Hundreds of eyes drilled into me, but my gaze was locked on the two of them, standing smug and unashamed. "Ryan," I said, my voice cracking once, then solidifying with steel, "thank you for showing me exactly who you are. And Sabrina, my maid of honor, my so-called sister, thank you for standing beside him today so I didn't waste another breath pretending either of you had my back." Gasps shot through the auditorium like bullets. The principal tried to tug the microphone gently away, but I yanked it closer. My whole body shook, not from fear, but from fury that had been building for months, waiting for this eruption. "You think you humiliated me by choosing today? On the day I finally finished the degree I paid for by sacrificing my youth, my sleep, and my damn inheritance? No, you've humiliated yourselves, in front of my classmates, in front of my professors, in front of my daughter, who deserves better examples than liars." My voice carried, clear and sharp. A professor in the front row set down his phone. Recording, I realized dimly. Somewhere near the back, Lily's little voice called out, confused, "Mommy?" My chest cracked, but I refused to let it show. Sabrina's face flushed crimson. She tried to tug Ryan's arm down, but he stood rigid, jaw clenched. He always hated losing control. Well, this was me ripping it away for good. I lifted my diploma, paper trembling in my hand. "This is mine. I earned this. Not because of you, Ryan, but in spite of you. And as of today, you've lost me. Enjoy your little prize." Before anyone could stop me, I walked off the stage, cap sliding down my hair, gown billowing behind me like armor. My heels clicked against the polished wood, each step a hammer pounding the coffin of our marriage shut. The whispers erupted instantly. Students turning to each other, phones flashing, professors murmuring, parents shielding their kids' ears. It didn't matter. I had detonated the truth in front of everyone, and the smoke was still curling through the air. By the time I reached the doors at the back, Ryan finally moved, shoving past chairs to chase me. "Angeline, wait!" I spun on my heel, holding the diploma against my chest like a shield. My voice cut through the chaos. "Don't you dare. Not here. Not ever again." The doors slammed behind me, cutting off the noise. Outside, Tucson's sun was merciless, pouring heat across my shoulders. But I didn't flinch. I kept walking across the courtyard, past families laughing and snapping photos, past classmates hugging with joy. Their eyes flicked toward me, whispers spreading like wildfire. But I didn't care. Every step away from that auditorium felt like oxygen filling my lungs after years of suffocation. I had been humiliated, yes, but I had not been destroyed. When I reached the edge of the parking lot, I finally allowed myself to stop. My hands shook violently, adrenaline buzzing under my skin. I pressed my forehead against the cool glass of my car window and let out a ragged laugh that sounded more like a sob. How many nights had I ignored the signs? Ryan working late, Sabrina offering to keep him company during business dinners. The sudden silences when I entered the room. I had told myself I was paranoid, that stress was making me suspicious. No more. The truth had stood up beside him on my graduation day, arm wrapped around his waist, nails digging into my trust until it bled. I slid into the driver's seat, diploma tossed carelessly on the passenger side. The leather was hot, but it grounded me. I gripped the wheel, staring out at the endless stretch of desert road ahead. He thought he broke me by making his betrayal public. He thought standing with her in front of my entire community would humiliate me into silence. He was wrong. I was done crying, done begging, done giving him the benefit of the doubt. From this moment on, I wasn't a wife betrayed. I was a woman wronged, and he would learn exactly what that meant. My reflection in the rearview mirror looked nothing like the woman who had stepped onto that stage minutes ago. My cheeks were streaked with tears, my lipstick smudged, but my eyes burned with something new. This wasn't the end of my story, it was the beginning of his unraveling. I turned the key in the ignition, my vow ringing louder than the engine. I will destroy you, Ryan, piece by piece. And Sabrina, you'll wish you never called me sister. And with that, I drove away from the ruins of my old life into the fire of my revenge. When people saw me walk out of that auditorium, they probably thought the betrayal started there. But the truth is, it had been building for years. I married Ryan when I was 22, fresh out of undergrad, wide-eyed, and stupidly in love. He was older, charming, with just enough ambition to make me believe we were building something together. He used to tell me, "You're my anchor, Angeline. I couldn't do any of this without you." I carried those words like gospel. I worked double shifts at a local cafe while finishing classes, just to keep our rent paid. He bounced from job to job until finally deciding to start his own marketing firm. And who wrote the first check to get him off the ground? Me. Every penny of the inheritance my grandmother left me, gone into his office space, his equipment, his endless networking dinners. I told myself it was an investment in our future. That's what love is, right? Sacrifice. Partnership. But sacrifices started piling up in one direction only. When I found out I was pregnant with Lily, it felt like the universe was finally rewarding me. A new life. A chance to create the family I had always dreamed of. I juggled everything. Morning sickness, classes, and supporting Ryan as his business limped along. He never seemed to notice how much I carried. He loved to remind me, "My work is for us. You'll thank me when we're comfortable." Except, comfortable never came. I covered bills when his clients flaked. I stayed up late editing his proposals while nursing Lily. I postponed job offers after grad school so I could help him just one more year. And when I suggested maybe he should help more at home, he laughed. "You're better at that stuff, babe. Don't stress." The cracks were there, obvious as daylight, but I filled them with excuses. When he stayed out late, I believed his claims of client dinners. When Sabrina offered to tag along to support him, I thought it was kindness. She was my best friend. We'd known each other since middle school, made pinky promises to never betray each other. I trusted her with my secrets, my home, even my daughter. There were moments that gnawed at me, the way their jokes seemed too private, the way Sabrina lingered at his side during family gatherings. I remember one Thanksgiving, Ryan carved the turkey while Sabrina leaned so close their shoulders touched. My aunt raised an eyebrow at me, but I forced a smile. "They're just friends," I said, convincing myself as much as her. Then came the late-night calls. Sabrina would text me, "Ryan's stressing about the pitch, I'm helping him rehearse." I swallowed the unease, telling myself it was innocent. What best friend stabs you in the back like that? What husband risks it all so openly? Looking back, I see how blind I was. How eager I was to believe in the life I thought I had built. The confirmation didn't come until weeks before graduation. My cousin, Mia, spotted them at a bar on a Friday night. Not just sitting together, but holding hands under the table, her head tilted against his shoulder. Mia sent me photos, her voice shaking over the phone. Angie, I didn't want to believe it, but you need to see this. I stared at those pictures for hours, my stomach in knots, my mind desperately searching for explanations. Friends don't touch like that. Husbands don't lean into anyone else's hair with that look in their eyes. When I confronted Ryan casually, he brushed it off. Mia hates me. You know she's always stirring drama. And Sabrina swore, Angie, please, I would never. Their lies were so polished I almost doubted my own eyes. Almost. But then Lily, my 4-year-old, sealed the truth. She climbed into my lap one night, playing with my necklace, and whispered, Daddy was kissing Auntie Sabrina in the car. The world tilted under me, out of the mouths of babes, unfiltered and innocent. I felt the air leave my lungs, the blood drain from my face. My little girl didn't know how her words gutted me, how they confirmed what I already knew but hadn't wanted to face. That's when the last of my illusions died. I wasn't just betrayed as a wife. I was betrayed as a mother, a daughter, a friend. Every sacrifice I made, every hour I worked, every dollar I poured into him, it all came back as betrayal. And if they thought I'd swallow it quietly, they had no idea who they married. The night after graduation, I sat alone at Mia's apartment, staring at my diploma propped on the counter. It should have felt like victory. Instead, it looked like a tombstone marking the death of my marriage. I'd spent enough years waiting, forgiving, excusing. No more. The switch flipped quietly, but once it did, there was no turning back. I wasn't going to beg Ryan to explain. I wasn't going to cry in front of Sabrina. I was going to dismantle everything they thought they could take from me, one calculated move at a time. The first step was money. Our joint accounts had been his playground for too long. At dawn, I logged in, fingers trembling but steadying with each click. I froze his debit card, rerouted alerts to my phone, and shifted the remaining balance into an account only I controlled. My grandmother's house deed, which I had stupidly put under his name for tax purposes, was next. My lawyer, a sharp woman named Carla recommended by Mia's husband, assured me we could reverse that transfer since the funds were mine alone. I scheduled an appointment for the following week. By mid-morning, I had canceled every auto payment tied to our joint credit cards. His gas, his gym, his streaming services, gone. He'd feel the cut immediately. Then came the house. I walked through each room that afternoon, Lily skipping at my heels, her small hand clutching her stuffed rabbit. Our life was scattered everywhere. His golf clubs by the door, Sabrina's forgotten sweater on the couch, the framed wedding photos that now looked like evidence in a case study on betrayal. I packed only what Lily and I needed: clothes, documents, toys, the essentials. Everything else could rot with him. I left his things untouched, like relics in a museum of mistakes. With boxes loaded into my cousin's SUV, I called a realtor I trusted from class, someone who owed me a favor. List it, I told her, as fast as you can. Her sharp intake of breath said it all. Are you sure? I've never been surer. By the time Ryan realized what was happening, the gears were already turning. That evening, he stormed into Mia's apartment without knocking, his face blotched red, veins straining in his neck. What the hell are you doing, Angeline? I looked up from Lily's coloring book, calm as ice. What I should have done months ago. He jabbed a finger toward me. You can't just empty the accounts. You can't sell the house without me. Watch me, I said, voice low but steady. The inheritance I put into it was mine. The down payment was mine. And the courts will agree. His mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. For once, Ryan didn't have a polished speech. You're acting crazy, he spat. This is exactly what Sabrina said you'd do, flipping out, and the mention of her name was his mistake. My eyes narrowed, and I cut him off with a laugh so cold it startled even me. Don't you dare bring her into this. You two wanted to play house behind my back? Fine. Now you can play broke together. Lily looked up at him then, her little brow furrowed. Daddy, why were you with Auntie at Mommy's school? The room fell into silence so heavy it pressed against the walls. Ryan's face drained of color. He stammered, Sweetheart, that's not... I scooped her into my lap before he could spew another lie. Go wash your hands for dinner, baby, I told her gently. She scampered off, leaving the truth hanging like a noose around his neck. When the door clicked shut behind her, I stood. You can rant all you want, Ryan. But this time, I'm already ahead of you. The accounts are frozen, the house is listed, and tomorrow, Carla will file the first papers. His jaw clenched so hard I thought his teeth might crack. You'll regret this. I stepped closer, my face inches from his. No, Ryan. You will. For a split second, I saw the panic flicker in his eyes. He realized then that the woman he had underestimated, dismissed and betrayed, wasn't broken. She was calculating. She was already in motion. He slammed the door when he left, rattling the frames on the wall. But even the echo of his anger couldn't shake me. If anything, it steadied me. That night, as Lily slept beside me, I opened my laptop and drafted the list of everything I would strip from him: finances, reputation, comfort, pride. One by one, I would reclaim every sacrifice I had made. This wasn't grief anymore. This was war. And for the first time in years, I felt alive. The fallout came faster than even I expected. The morning after Ryan barged into Mia's apartment, his text messages turned frantic. My card's not working. Then, did you move the money? By noon, it escalated to all caps. You're going to ruin us. I didn't reply. Silence was louder than any words. By evening, Mia sent me a screenshot from Facebook. A mutual acquaintance had posted a blurry photo from graduation. Me on stage, gripping the microphone, Ryan in the crowd with Sabrina clinging to his arm. The caption read, Wild scene at U of A commencement. Wife calls out cheating husband and best friend in front of everyone. Respect. The comments exploded. Former classmates chimed in, tagging friends, asking for details. Someone uploaded a video clip. Within hours, the story was spreading across Tucson like wildfire. Ryan prided himself on being a respected businessman. That facade cracked the second people realized his betrayal wasn't whispered gossip. It was recorded fact. The first consequence hit him at the gas station. He tried to swipe his joint account card, only to have it declined. He called the bank, demanding answers, only to discover access had been frozen. That night, he raged over text, accusing me of financial abuse. I almost laughed. Funny how quickly betrayal turns men into victims when their wallets are touched. Meanwhile, Sabrina's world was collapsing in a different way. She worked at a mid-sized law firm as a paralegal. By Monday, whispers swirled around the office. A client had recognized her in the graduation video. Her boss, embarrassed by the distraction, pulled her aside. Your personal choices are bleeding into the firm's reputation, he told her, according to another paralegal I knew. Sabrina's social media went private, but not before screenshots of her and Ryan together leaked into group chats all over town. I didn't have to lift a finger. Their own arrogance was eating them alive. At home, well, what was left of it, the ripple effects were even sharper. My parents, who had welcomed Ryan as their own son, refused to answer his calls. My mother told me, he made his choice the second he walked into that ceremony with her. They threw their full support behind me, offering to help with Lily whenever I needed. Friends picked sides. Some messaged me privately, confessing they had suspected something for months. Others admitted Sabrina had crossed boundaries, but they hadn't known how to tell me. It stung, but the truth freed me from illusions. The loudest support came from strangers. On community boards, people cheered the way I confronted him. Finally, a woman who didn't stay silent. One comment stuck with me. She didn't just get her degree, she graduated from putting up with trash. Ryan, of course, hated the attention. His pride couldn't stomach being the punchline of an online joke. He called repeatedly, switching from anger to pleading within minutes. You can't just leave me like this, Angie. he snapped one night over voicemail. You know Sabrina isn't serious. She's just convenient. Don't blow up our life over one mistake. One mistake, as if years of lies and stolen moments behind my back were a slip of the tongue. Then came the desperate attempt. It was late, Lily already asleep, when the buzzing at Mia's door startled us both. Ryan stood outside, hair unkempt, eyes bloodshot. He looked nothing like the polished man who used to boast about his image. Please, he said, when I cracked the door an inch. His voice shook, low enough that it almost sounded sincere. We can fix this. I'll cut it off with her. Just give me a chance. I stared at him through the crack, the chain still fastened. You didn't just cheat, Ryan. You betrayed me in public. You humiliated me in front of my daughter. That doesn't get fixed with promises. He reached out, fingers brushing the doorframe. Angeline, don't do this. I need you. I let the silence hang, heavy and deliberate, before answering. You needed me when I paid your bills. You needed me when I gave up everything for your business. Now? You're on your own. The slam of the door reverberated through the apartment. For the first time in years, it wasn't me who felt shut out. It was him. Inside, I leaned against the wall, heart racing but steady. The first cracks were showing in his armor, his money, his image, his control, all slipping away. And this was only the beginning. It happened 2 weeks later, at one of Tucson's busiest restaurants on a Friday night. I didn't plan it. Ryan did. He called earlier that day, his tone carefully smoothed over, like he thought if he used his business voice, I'd forget the venom he spat the week before. Let's talk face to face. Neutral ground. Dinner. Public place. For Lily's sake. I almost ignored him, but part of me wanted to watch him flail in front of an audience again. So I agreed, with one condition. Mia came with me. If Ryan wanted a scene, I'd give him one. The restaurant buzzed with the hum of weekend chatter, glasses clinking, waiters weaving between tables. When we walked in, Ryan was already seated near the center, where everyone could see. Typical. He wanted witnesses. His suit was pressed, his hair slicked back, but his eyes darted nervously as soon as he spotted us. Angeline, he said, standing, voice carrying across 2 tables. You look beautiful. The words rang hollow. I sat across from him, Mia beside me. Cut the performance. Say what you need to say. He leaned forward, palms open as though rehearsed. I made mistakes. I know that. But I love you. I love our family. Sabrina means nothing. A scoff escaped before I could stop it. Nothing? You stood with her at my graduation. You let our daughter watch you choose her over me. A couple at the next table turned their heads. Phones were already angled subtly in our direction. Ryan noticed too late. I panicked, he said, dropping his voice. She pressured me. She threatened to tell you. Threatened? I cut in, laughing coldly. You call screwing my best friend pressure? No, Ryan. That's choice. And you made it over and over again. Mia reached for her water, hiding her smirk. The volume of nearby conversations dipped. People were listening. Ryan shifted tactics, lowering his voice in what he probably thought was intimacy. Look, Angie, we can work this out privately. We don't need everyone else involved. That was my cue. I straightened, my own voice crisp, loud enough to travel. Privately? You lost the right to privacy when you humiliated me in public. You lost it when you dragged Sabrina into our lives like she belonged there more than I did. A server froze mid-step, tray balanced in his hands. Ryan flushed, his polished mask slipping. You're exaggerating. People don't need to hear this. Oh, they already know. I pulled my phone from my purse, unlocking it to the folder Mia had helped me organize. Screenshots of messages, receipts of hotel charges on joint accounts, photos Mia had sent from that bar. You think you can spin the story, but here's the truth. You used my inheritance to fund nights with her. You lied to me, to Lily, to our families. That's not just betrayal, Ryan. That's theft. The word cracked like thunder. A hush fell over the restaurant. A woman at the bar whispered something to her date, eyes glued on us. Another diner lifted his phone higher, recording openly now. Ryan's hand shot out across the table, trying to snatch the phone. I pulled it back, lips curling. Go ahead. Prove me right in front of everyone. His composure broke completely. He slammed his palm against the table, silverware rattling. Enough. Exactly, I said, rising to my feet. Enough of your lies. Enough of your manipulation. Enough of pretending you're a man worth my time. I leaned closer, locking eyes with him, my voice dropping to a deadly calm that carried more weight than a scream. Here's your truth, Ryan. You'll never control this narrative again. Not in public, not in private. You are exposed. And the world will remember you not as a businessman, not as a husband, but as the man who lost everything because he couldn't keep his hands off his wife's best friend. Gasps rippled through the room. Someone clapped. The sound spread like wildfire until half the restaurant was applauding. Phones flashed. Ryan's face burned crimson, his mouth working soundlessly as if trying to form a rebuttal. Sabrina wasn't there, but by the end of the night, she might as well have been. The video of his humiliation would spread within hours, and she'd see exactly how quickly his loyalty crumbled under pressure. I turned, gesturing for Mia. We're done here. As we walked out, the applause followed, mixed with murmurs and whispers that would soon become headlines on local feeds. My pulse raced, but my steps were steady, each one sinking deeper into the satisfaction of control. Behind me, Ryan's voice cracked through the noise, desperate and broken. Angeline, wait! I didn't look back. On the sidewalk outside, cool night air wrapped around me. Mia laughed, shaking her head. You realize that line is going to be everywhere by morning, right? I exhaled, finally smiling. Good. Let it spread. He wanted a stage. I just gave him his performance. Inside, Ryan was still trapped in the spotlight, drowning in the applause that mocked him. And this time, it wasn't me walking out humiliated. It was him, stripped bare in front of everyone he wanted to impress, and it was only going to get worse. The restaurant video hit the internet before I even made it home that night. By morning, it was everywhere. Twitter threads, Facebook groups, Instagram reels, each one looping my voice over and over. You are exposed, and the world will remember you not as a businessman, not as a husband, but as the man who lost everything because he couldn't keep his hands off his wife's best friend. Hashtags sprouted like weeds. Graduation gate, best friend betrayal, summer showdown. By noon, even my classmates were texting me clips. Angie, you've gone viral, one wrote, adding a laughing emoji. Another sent a screenshot of Ryan's LinkedIn profile with comments roasting him. Great at marketing, terrible at loyalty. Ryan, of course, couldn't stay silent. He never could. 3 days later, he launched his damage control. His Instagram, usually filled with golf selfies and motivational quotes, suddenly turned into a soapbox. He posted a polished photo of himself at his office desk, sleeves rolled up, expression grave. The caption read, "No marriage is perfect. Mistakes were made. But the internet shouldn't be the jury for private matters. My family deserves better than gossip and half-truths." I almost choked on my coffee. Gossip, half-truths. The audacity of calling his betrayal mistakes, like forgetting an anniversary dinner. But what made me laugh hardest was the comments. He expected sympathy. Instead, he got roasted. One user wrote, "Bro, your wife exposed you on stage at her graduation and you're worried about gossip." Another, "Mistakes? Like holding your wife's best friend in front of her kid?" Thousands of likes piled under every sarcastic comment until his post turned into a meme. That should have been enough humiliation. But Ryan doubled down. The following week, he somehow wrangled a slot on a local morning show, the kind where hosts sip coffee and discuss community events. He sat there in a crisp suit, hair slicked back, voice dripping with fake remorse. "I just want people to understand," he said, "that social media has twisted this. I never meant to hurt Angeline. She was my rock, but she let her cousin feed her lies, and she blew up our private struggles in public. I sat at Mia's kitchen counter watching the broadcast on her iPad, my jaw tightening. Lies? Cousin? He was painting me as hysterical, manipulated, irrational. Every tired stereotype rolled into one. Mia smacked the counter. He's trying to spin you into the crazy ex-wife. Don't let him. I didn't plan to. That night, I opened the folder of receipts I'd been quietly collecting. Screenshots of texts, email confirmations of hotel bookings, photos Mia had sent me, bank statements showing dinners and trips charged to our joint account. I hadn't wanted to go nuclear, but Ryan had just signed his own death warrant. I sent a handful of files to a journalist friend from my program who freelanced for a local blog. Within 48 hours, the headline dropped. Receipts tell a different story. Tucson businessman funded affair with wife's inheritance. The article laid it out clean. Screenshots of Ryan texting Sabrina at 2 a.m., hotel charges on nights he claimed to be working late, deposits from my inheritance that lined up exactly with his business trips. The cherry on top was Lily's daycare bill, paid late while he shelled out hundreds for steakhouse dinners. The internet devoured it. People reposted screenshots with captions like, "Imagine cheating on your wife and using her grandma's money to pay for it." Even LinkedIn turned against him. A recruiter commented under his latest post, "Integrity matters more than strategy. Pass." The comment racked up thousands of likes. By the end of the week, Ryan shut down his Instagram, set his LinkedIn to private, and stopped showing up at his office. Sabrina didn't fare better. Someone leaked her firm's email, and clients flooded the inbox with complaints. How can we trust a paralegal who sneaks around with married men? Her boss eventually placed her on indefinite leave. The backlash became entertainment. TikTok creators reenacted my graduation speech, complete with caps and gowns. Memes of Ryan with captions like, "Trust me, babe, it's just networking," spread faster than he could delete them. The final blow came when Dahmer's Summer Showdown trended nationally for 24 hours after a popular relationship podcast covered my story. The hosts read excerpts from the restaurant video, laughing at his attempts to defend himself. One even said, "Honestly, Angeline's line should be on a t-shirt." Ryan texted me at 2 a.m. that night. "You've ruined me. Are you happy now?" I stared at the screen, the words blurring with satisfaction. For years, he'd taken without consequence. Now, he was choking on the bitter taste of accountability. I didn't respond. Not yet. The silence was still working. But as I lay in bed, the weight of everything hit me. It wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about rewriting the story he tried to tell about me. The weak wife, the hysterical mother, the gullible fool. I was none of those things. The public had chosen a side, and it wasn't his. The truth was louder than his spin, and every attempt to twist the narrative only tightened the noose around his reputation. Ryan wanted to play the PR war. He forgot one thing. I had the receipts, the resilience, and the rage to win it. And he hadn't even seen my final move yet. The courtroom didn't feel like justice at first. It felt like exposure, like someone pulling every bruise and scar of my marriage into the light. But that was the point. If Ryan wanted to hide behind appearances, I was going to strip them all away in front of a judge. Carla, my attorney, didn't waste time. She stacked a binder thick with receipts, screenshots, and bank records on the table so hard it echoed. Ryan flinched. His lawyer tried to set a calm tone, talking about misunderstandings and shared marital expenses. But the moment Carla slid the Phoenix Hotel receipt across the table, dated the exact night Lily had a fever and I sat up alone with her, the room tilted in my favor. "Your Honor," Carla said, her voice like a blade, "we are not talking about shared expenses. We are talking about my client's inheritance being funneled into her husband's affair. We are talking about betrayal funded by stolen trust." Ryan shifted in his chair, tugging at his tie. He had walked in with that same smug posture he always wore at business meetings, the one that used to intimidate me into silence. But every piece of evidence Carla presented knocked another brick out of his wall. Bank transfers lining up with Sabrina's trips. Restaurant bills charged on nights he claimed to be with clients. Text messages promising her the life my sacrifices had built. Then came the custody discussion. He had the audacity to argue for joint custody, leaning into the microphone with a steady voice like he'd practiced in the mirror. "Your Honor, my daughter needs both parents. I've always been a present father." Carla didn't blink. Dedicated fathers don't let their child watch them kiss another woman in the family car. She had Lily's small statement on record, innocent words that cut deeper than any receipt. The judge's gaze landed on Ryan, sharp and unimpressed. When the gavel came down, awarding me temporary full custody until final review, Ryan's composure cracked. He dropped his head into his hands, shoulders shaking not from grief, but from fear. The money followed. The accounts I had already frozen were officially transferred under my name. My grandmother's inheritance, which I had stupidly funneled into the house, was restored legally to me. The equity, the down payment, all recognized as mine. The house itself was ordered to be sold, proceeds divided with adjustments in my favor. Ryan's lawyer tried to argue for his BMW, a car he loved more than most people. But Carla reminded the court it had been purchased with funds I earned while working 2 jobs. The judge ruled it marital property. The car would be sold to cover debts. Every little luxury he'd flaunted, his golf membership, his custom suits, the dinners he bragged about, was stripped from him piece by piece. His credit cards were already months behind. Without me propping him up, his financial empire was nothing more than air. Meanwhile, Sabrina's world unraveled in parallel. Word of her affair had already spread through her firm. A client who recognized her from the graduation video emailed the partners. Another left a scathing review online. Within weeks, she was placed on indefinite leave. Her parents, once proud of their responsible daughter, shut their door on her, telling neighbors they had nothing to do with her choices. Ryan had no money, and she had no stability. Their little romance began to look less like passion and more like 2 people clinging to each other while drowning. Ryan's family didn't save him either. His father, who had always been cold toward me, surprised everyone by calling me directly. "I won't cover his mistakes this time," he said. "He's on his own." His brother, who once idolized Ryan, unfollowed him publicly, posting vague quotes about betrayal and integrity. Even his own blood wanted distance. The fallout was complete. By the time the court's final ruling came down, full custody to me, restitution of my inheritance, spousal support calculated from what little he had left, Ryan was a shell. The man who once strutted around Tucson as a businessman with influence now took calls in hushed corners, begging old clients not to drop him. Most of them already had. I walked out of the courthouse that final day holding Lily's hand, the Arizona sun warm on my face. Ryan trailed behind us, head bowed, his suit rumpled, his eyes empty. For once, he wasn't the man in control. He was the one people whispered about in the hallway, the man who lost everything because he thought he was untouchable. And I knew, as Lily swung my hand and skipped down the steps, that this wasn't just revenge. This was reclamation. I had taken back everything he stole from me. My money, my pride, my voice, my future. He was broke, abandoned, and exposed. And I was free. I didn't expect to see him again so soon. Months had passed since the court ruling, and I thought maybe Ryan had finally learned to stay out of my life. But one Saturday afternoon, as I loaded groceries into my car with Lily in the back seat singing to herself, he appeared. His BMW was gone, replaced by a dented old sedan that coughed smoke as it pulled into the lot. He looked thinner, older, the arrogance worn off him like paint stripped by the desert sun. For a second, I almost didn't recognize him. "Angeline," he said, stepping closer, hands raised as if I might run. His voice was hoarse, no trace of the polished confidence he once wore like cologne. "Please, just hear me out." I shut the trunk, sliding my sunglasses down so he could see my eyes. "You shouldn't be here, Ryan." "I had to see you." His shoulders sagged. "I'm ruined. The business is gone. Sabrina's gone. My family won't take my calls. I don't have anyone. For a moment, I just looked at him. The man who once strutted into rooms like he owned them now stood in a parking lot begging for scraps of attention. It was almost pitiful. Almost. You did this to yourself, I said, keeping my voice even. Every choice, every lie, every betrayal. You thought you could have it all. Now you have nothing. He stepped closer, desperation leaking into every movement. I loved you, Angie. I swear I did. I was stupid. I thought Sabrina was... I don't even know anymore. She left me when the money dried up. She said she never loved me. His face twisted, anger mixing with shame. But you're my wife. You're the only person who ever really believed in me. I laughed, sharp and humorless. Believing in you cost me everything. My inheritance, my trust, my best friend. You cashed in every piece of loyalty I gave you, and you thought I'd never notice the debt piling up. His eyes glossed with tears. Can't we start over? For Lily's sake? She deserves both of us. At the mention of her name, my spine stiffened. I glanced at the back seat where her little head was bent over a picture book, oblivious. Don't you dare use her as your excuse. You had your chance to be her father. You threw it away when you kissed another woman in front of her. The silence between us was heavy, broken only by the rattle of carts in the distance. Ryan's lips trembled, but I didn't feel sympathy. Not anymore. I had burned through every ounce of pity during the nights I cried alone, wondering why I wasn't enough. He dropped to his knees right there on the hot asphalt, hands clasped like a sinner at confession. Please, Angie. I'll change. I'll do anything. Just don't leave me like this. I can't survive without you. For the first time, I crouched so we were eye level. I wanted him to see my face clearly when I said the words he would never forget. You're not broken because of me, Ryan. You're broken because of you. You were the architect of your own destruction. I just stopped cleaning up the mess. His breath hitched, a sob escaping. You can't mean that. We had a life. We had a lie, I cut in. And I'm done living in it. I stood, brushing imaginary dust off my jeans, and opened the car door. Ryan stayed on his knees, staring at the ground as if the cracks in the pavement might swallow him whole. I slid behind the wheel, buckled my seatbelt, and glanced once more at him through the glass. You wanted control, Ryan. Now you're left with consequences. Remember that. The engine roared to life. Lily looked up from her book, smiling. Ready to go home, Mommy? I smiled back at her, warmth flooding through me. Yeah, baby. We're ready. As I pulled out of the lot, I didn't look in the rearview mirror again. Whatever remained of Ryan could stay there, kneeling on the asphalt, begging ghosts for forgiveness. I had already walked away. This was just the final nail in the coffin. 2 years later, I barely recognized the woman I used to be. The weight of betrayal doesn't sit on my chest anymore. It's a memory, sharp but distant, like an old scar that no longer hurts when touched. My life isn't perfect. No one's is, but it's mine. Built with my own hands, free from lies and manipulation. Lily is 6 now, all freckles and laughter. She's stronger than I ever imagined, sharper too. The first time she read a book cover to cover on her own, she looked up at me with pride and said, "We did it, Mommy." I hugged her tight because she was right. We did it. Every step out of the wreckage, we did together. I have a steady job now, consulting for small businesses across Arizona. The same degree that Ryan once tried to overshadow at my graduation became the key to building a life I control. My clients respect me. My colleagues admire me. And at night, when Lily is asleep, I sometimes sit at the kitchen table, laptop glowing, and marvel at how peaceful ambition feels when it isn't chained to someone else's ego. Ryan's name still floats around Tucson, but not with admiration. He lost the firm, sold the BMW, burned through what little savings he had left. I heard from a friend that he's renting a single bedroom in a rundown apartment complex on the east side. No Sabrina, no business lunches, no spotlight. Just the shadow of a man who once thought he was untouchable. The last time I saw him was by accident, in a grocery store aisle. He avoided my eyes, shoulders hunched, a basket of frozen dinners dangling from his hand. For a second, I almost pitied him. Almost. Then Lily tugged my arm, asking if we could buy sprinkles for her cupcakes, and I remembered exactly why I walked away. People still bring up my graduation sometimes. The viral videos have long stopped trending, but locally, it's a story that stuck. When it comes up, I don't shrink. I smile. Because that moment, painful as it was, became my rebirth. Betrayal stripped me down, but freedom built me back up. I don't thank Ryan or Sabrina for that. They don't deserve the credit. I thank myself for finding the strength to leave, to fight, to win. Sometimes late at night, I think about the vow I made when I left that auditorium. I will destroy you, Ryan. And in every way that mattered, I did. But the greater victory wasn't in watching his downfall. It was in reclaiming my life, my dignity, and my daughter's future. As Lily grows, I want her to remember this. Betrayal doesn't define us. Survival does. The power to rebuild, to walk away, to choose peace over chaos. That's where strength lives. Ryan is nothing more than a ghost in my story now, a reminder of who I'll never be again. And me? I'm alive, free, and unashamed. Because the truth is simple. I didn't just survive betrayal. I thrived beyond it. Thank you for watching till the end. If this story hit you, click that hype button and let me know your thoughts or even your own experiences down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button so you never miss the next story.